Inside the Classroom is brought to you by NYSUT, a union of more than 600,000 professionals dedicated to education, human services, and healthcare. NYSUT is proud to partner with parents in advocating for what students need. We stand for excellence in public education from preschool through post-grad. Find us online at nysut.org.
Hi, I'm Ashli Dreher, here with another episode of Inside the Classroom, and we have with us Mrs. Denise Grandits.
Hello.
She is an English language arts teacher at Ben Franklin Middle School. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, like you said, I'm a 7th grade English teacher at Ben Franklin Middle School in Kenton Schools. This will be my second year with them. Before going to Franklin, I taught at St. Amelia School, and before that at Barker. This is a change of career for me, so this is only my 9th year being a teacher. Before that, I worked in healthcare at a large healthcare organization in Buffalo. Before that, I did public relations and journalism, so I've had a couple of careers.
Okay. So why did you decide to become a teacher?
Well, in 2nd grade, I knew that I should be a teacher. For whatever reason, life led me in different paths. A medical career in labor and delivery for almost 20 years. I don't really know where that came from. And then I was getting some promotions at the healthcare organization, and my boss at the time suggested I pursue a master's in business administration. So I thought, well, sure, I can go back to college. And I met with a person at a college about an MBA, and I went home that night, and my husband said, how'd it go? And I said, well, it was fine, but I think if I'm going to get a master's degree, it's going to be what I really want to do, and I've always wanted to be an English teacher. So God love my husband. He said, well, go be an English teacher. And then that's how I ended up here.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, and now you're working on a PhD.
I am a PhD at the University of Buffalo. I actually just did my research study the last quarter of the past school year. So this summer I've been doing a lot of reading, rereading articles, going over my data, kind of making good headway, but not quite there yet.
Yeah, so I'm working on my doctorate as well at the University of Rochester. And so I completed my dissertation proposal presentation to my committee last year and had that approved. And this, I will be doing this year coming up what you did last year, which is collect my data from my action research study and then present my dissertation to my committee, and hopefully, if all goes well, be Dr. Dreher. Who knows? But it's such a long journey. Tell us a little bit about what a PhD at the University of Buffalo entails, because I think, you know, at least at the University of Rochester, there's different components. So there's a portfolio that you have to do. There's a comprehensive exam that we had to take, which was 75 pages, and they were in sections. So you had basically 2 opportunities, 1 opportunity to revise if you were not successful in the first opportunity of the exam, and then of course the dissertation proposal and actually the dissertation along with all the coursework.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about how that works at the University of Buffalo.
Well, I finished my master's in 2010 through SUNY Empire State College, which was a great program for people going back to school at not the age of 22. And one of my very last classes was on new literacies. And when we got into it, I thought, wait a minute, there's something really major going on here. And it was just a class. And then my master's degree was over and I was a graduate. So the University of Buffalo is big in new literacies. So I decided to take a class over the summer just because I was interested. And then once I got there, I realized there was so much more to learn and so much more that I think really mattered. So I applied to the program thinking there's no way they're going to accept me into this. I'm just a regular person. And I started that program in 2010, so here we are in 2017, and I'm finally to the end stages. I did a ton of coursework. I actually did way more than I needed to, just because it was so interesting, all the new literacies discussion, and there was so much to learn, and I just couldn't get enough of it. We did a research component, which was reading somebody else's researching and then critiquing it. So that was the first stage of it. The next part is presenting a research component. So I did a pilot study in advanced qualitative stats in a couple of semesters ago. So I need to present my findings on that, and actually that's where I am now.
And I think that's what makes us as educators lifelong learners, that we're interested in that journey and what students are learning along the way and what we're learning along the way. And I know myself that although it's taken quite a few years, it will be that much more worth it when I'm finished.
Absolutely.
At the end.
And it's challenging being a teacher full-time. So during the school year, all of my energy is focused on my students, coming up with invigorating, exciting lesson plans and grading papers. An English teacher, you read a lot of papers. So during the school year, it was a struggle just to get through the coursework at UB, let alone doing a research project and coming up. I mean, you have to read so many research articles. I think this summer I'm up to 50 articles that I've gone back over this summer. So it's time consuming, but it's as part of, I know, the National Board certification, that looking at student work and looking what I as the teacher am doing and trying new things and seeing what works and what doesn't, and not just quantifying it with test scores and essay grades, because although that's important, that doesn't tell the whole story. So this qualitative research allows you just to kind of slow down and take a look at the process of how do kids really learn, what are we doing in schools that maybe we think is a great way for them to learn, but maybe it's not the best way. So it's thrilling. It's exhausting, but it's thrilling.
It is.
Who educates and assists our state students, provides medical care and support, and strengthens our communities? We do. NYSUT members are classroom teachers, college faculty and staff, nurses, and healthcare professionals. We're cafeteria workers, bus drivers, teacher aides, and teaching assistants. We're more than 600,000 caring, supportive professionals living and working in communities across New York State. We are NYSUT. We make a difference.
Tell us a little bit about the lesson that we'll see today, that our viewers are going to see with your classroom.
Okay, I would consider myself what someone would call a new literacies practitioner. In 2014, I was really fortunate to win the NCTE, National Council of Teachers of English Media Literacy Award. My professor, Dr. David Bruce at UB, highly suggested I send in an application. He knew the work I was doing in the classrooms, and I thought, well, this is ridiculous. Like, they're going to pick me out of all the teachers in America, and they're going to pick me, and lo and behold, they did. So I'm a big believer in that kids, especially in an English class, we read a book and we write an essay, but we read and write in so many different ways. So New Literacies acknowledges that, yes, while print-based texts are important, sometimes, many times, you can take non-print texts and help kids become better readers and writers. So in this lesson, we were nearing the end of our study of Karen Hess's book Witness, which is written in prose form, and I wanted kids to write the very academic essay of talking about a theme, and they had taken notes, traditional notes, during our reading. And in this lesson, I wanted them to use some other mode to show me what they understood of themes. So they could do things like make a movie, or what many of the 7th graders, because it's what they're into now, they chose to make memes about the theme that they saw emerging. So it's called transmediation. So when you take from one mode, you take from a book, and now you have to show me what you understand using a different mode, something like a meme, which is completely pop culture-ish. But you still have to show me the theme. The level of thinking going on it's remarkable. So that's what the kids, they actually had an option. Many of the 7th graders in this chose to do memes. Memes, movies, or block out poems. They seem to like those this
Now,
year.
will they have an audience to share that with as well? Do they share it with their peers?
They
or
do.
how they-
What I found is when students are engaged in these new literacy practices, I don't find very much when they're writing an essay that they look over to their buddy and say, hey, look at what I found. But in these instances, kids are constantly sharing what they're doing. They bounce ideas off of each other, like, does this make sense? Do you think this is stupid? I want to show this, but I don't think it really shows what I'm meaning. And so it's a very collaborative, engaging process of learning.
Okay, let's take a look at Mrs. Grandits' classroom.
Today is we're going to explore theme. You guys have been doing for homework assignments a vlog once a week. You should have been. Everybody in here, I think, has been. And those vlogs are tied exactly to your final essay. So we are not writing with words anything today. Okay. So, but you are going to be working towards. It's kind of pre-planning what you're going to say in your essay. These essay questions on the top of your witness theme creative assignment is exactly what appears on your essay that will be graded today, or by the end of the school year. It's going to be practice for our final exam, or only review for the final exam. But I thought since we're about halfway through the book, I thought we would do something thinking about the theme, but thinking about it in ways other than words. So these essay questions are exactly what appears on your final essay, the exact questions. The first one is, fear can change a person's outlook on life. One of your vlogs has been about fear. The second one is, a sense of childhood innocence can make us better people. One of your vlog sections is childhood innocence, right? Another one is, judging others can lead to bigger problems in society, which I think we can prove that throughout the entire book. And then finally, family is not necessarily those to whom we are blood related. Your other blog post options. Today, what your task is going to be is to choose one of those theme questions. When we go to write the final essay, if you want to change your mind, you want to today talk about judging others can lead to bigger problems in society, but when we write the essay, you want to write about family doesn't have to be blood related. You can completely change your mind later, but for today, focus on one theme. And then you have lots of options to show me, without words, how that theme is true. So, one theme option, right? So I'm just going to pick one. Right now in your head, you should probably be thinking, oh, I kind of like judging others leads to bigger problems in society. Now you have to choose which project option you want to choose. The first one is, and always with every one of these, it says focus on the theme. So you're not just creating something creatively for the sake of creating something fun, although I think they are fun. You are going to create something with the theme in mind, but you're going to do it in a fun way. So never lose sight of the theme is what I'm really talking about. Your first one is, pretend any character or all of them had a Twitter feed. What would they be tweeting about? Family is not necessarily people we're blood related to. Okay? And in each option, you get the exact expectations. This one is create a list of 15 things. You're not going to get that all done today. We're just going to start. But every option has the requirements, so follow along with that. Your second one, I think I have some meme lovers in this room. Oh, I see these faces lighting up. You can go to that website and create memes. So the memes, you can use the template or the options they already have given you. You can also put your own picture in there. Somebody actually did that. But remember, you're going to have to explain to me why that meme also tells the message. So don't pick something just because it's funny, but you're going to have to kind of really explain it. So keep that in mind. Right, so expand our thinking. Can you, I think you can use your own pictures too, can't you? Yes. You should, like, what else other than their generated? What else could you, right? Does it say, what happens when you click on there?
Make that link go away again. Just hit enter.
Oh, it just looks stiff.
Oh, so it just, what happens when you click on load, load custom? What happens when that happens? What pop- All right, so you could save a picture from Google Images. for a certain reason. This is the column where the capital word appears. Is that why? Could you put your hand down on this page and you put it up on that corner? Just because.
No, it's LIB. Go change it, you have to scroll down. Click show.
As if I can read that. Ah, I love it. Ohana means family, and that should be in our room.
And then it says family means no one gets left behind or forgotten.
No one gets forgotten.
Yeah. How far I'll go?
So you're printing, you're good, you're printing? So hit
What?
file, print. There you go. And then you just make sure it says library. No. Click on the change, and then you'll see FMS library. But if you, the colors represented that meaning, and those fearful meanings. Like right there's not going to be any pretty pink and, what's another happy color? Pink and purple, we're not going to have any. Is it? Like if you were talking about fear though, what colors come to mind when you think of fear? Red. Dark blue, right? Not like baby blue. Not like robin blue or pretty blue. Not a good thing. So did you, where did you just copied them onto the assignment or onto the document?
Well, I usually just press save images, and then Mr. Ben said you just drag it onto the document.
Perfect. Well, is that on the document or on the, I think that's on the assignment, which is okay. We can put it in the other place eventually.
I don't know what to do now.
Okay, so print that to the library.
Wait, should I make sure everything's capitalized?
You don't have to. I think you don't have to. Stylistically, it would be like how witnesses and capitalizing everything.
Raise your hand if you have.
You can always block it out. Right?
We're gonna do it two more.
Loving. So, mean people, I'll say it again. Remember, we're going to expand our thinking. Don't stay in one little section of judging people wrong. Expand your thinking. Go bigger. Go bigger. You can do it. You can do it. If you had a computer, if you'd be so kind to plug it in the right spot.
Good pencil.
I Amara, we are not going to do this again tomorrow. We'll come back to it next week. Tomorrow we'll do a little bit more reading before, because you guys don't have school Friday, you lucky duck. It's like a color. Why? I have something to bind to it. All right, you're not done? Guys, excellent work. As always. Really excellent work.
Okay, we're back with Denise Grandits, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what media literacy is. I know that you recently won an award. Again, tell us what the name of that award is.
Sure, it was the National Council of Teachers of English Media Literacy Award. And what media literacy means is we're aware that, again, schools value print-based reading and writing, right? So we read a book and we write an essay, and that's traditionally what we've done. We did it when I was a little girl in school, and we continue to do it now. With the 21st century, our students walk around with little tiny computers in their hands all the time, right? So they are reading and writing in ways that we never would have dreamed possible when I was in school a few years ago. So what media literacy, new literacies takes into account is it's just like scaffolding for anything else. You meet the students where they are, and then you try to take them someplace else. So 7th graders in particular love memes. So memes are like little cartoon-looking things. So there's an image, mostly taking up the frame, and then you put words on it to add more meaning. So it's this layering on of meaning. So the picture has a meaning to it. The words have more meaning to it. And then layered together, we're coming up into these much more nuanced meaning kind of ideas.
That connect with the book that you're reading.
They totally
so
connect with the book.
Connects
It
back
always
to
connects.
the content.
And when we talk about close reading and writing, students constantly have to go back to the book to make sure, I have students making comments, things like, this picture doesn't really fit what I wanted to say. I mean, it's kind of okay, but I think that the picture should be something different. So they're looking deeper they're aware that there's meaning in a picture, so they're just looking for the perfect meaning. They do similar things when they make digital videos. My students make a lot of digital videos using a free computer program called stupaflix.com. And all it is, it's kind of like a slideshow. So they import movie or photos or videos into the creation. They add music to it. They can add text to it. So when you're layering on all these meanings, it becomes such a much richer meaning than a bunch of words on a page. So students will be very aware that the music doesn't really fit the tone of what they're trying to say. This is too happy and I'm trying to be a little more serious. So they're very deliberate in their choices, which is exactly what we want them to do when they're reading a book. We want them to be very aware of things like tone and diction, word choice, nuance. So they're doing it in a different mode. And in this, it's called transmediation. New meaning is always created because it didn't exist before. This movie, this meme didn't never exist before. So when they take their understanding of the book and then they have to put it through these processes to create something else, the end result is just, it's remarkable. And then how much simpler it is, and the students have found out that when they make a meme, say, like we saw in our lesson today, when they make the meme, then a few weeks later, which we did, we went and wrote the traditional, how does the author develop a theme and witness, they already had such a deep understanding of it because they could represent it. They had
to draw from,
right?
Hands-on experience.
Hands-on experience, right?
Yeah.
So it addresses many different types of learners, giving them, I think they had 6 or 7 options in this process, which one they wanted to show. So if they weren't necessarily overly creative, they can choose something that was a little less artsy.
So you probably don't have many students when it comes to writing the essay that are sitting at their desk not knowing what to say.
Right.
It eliminates that problem or that hurdle that students have to jump over of, oh my gosh, what do I write about? Because they've already research the topic and the theme in depth, using a method that they're familiar with, using technology, using a meme, using
and that they do it
comfortable.
freely, independently. They are doing it constantly. So why not find a way? Could I still get them to write that essay at the end? Absolutely,
and
I
you
could.
do,
and I do, right? A great example was I was teaching summer school in a charter school in the city of Buffalo a few summers ago, and the students were having a really hard time coming to a theme statement. So the difference between a theme and the plot is just what happens in the story. The theme is the life lesson. And they were really struggling. They were just giving plot, and it was for the 11th grade exam at the time, and that would have been a fatal error to make on the exam. And I don't know how it hit me or why it hit me, and I said, wait a minute, guys, we talk in hashtags all the time. And they're like, yeah, I get it. And I said, if you can't turn your theme statement into a hashtag, it can't be a theme statement. And they said, what? And I said, well, read me one of your plot summaries. So they're like, the character was in a struggle with his mother and in the end decided to run away or whatever. And I said, would that be a good hashtag? And they're like, no, that would be kind of lame. And I said, well, how can we turn it into a hashtag? And they said, how about sometimes we have to run away from things that make us worried? And I said, now you got yourself a theme statement. So it's actually been the way that I teach theme now, that if you can't turn it into a hashtag or an inspirational bumper sticker, it can't be a theme. But that's a language they understand. And I don't know how it hit me like a bolt of lightning coming through the room that day, but it's worked for years since. So
and middle school, now I taught middle school for 10 years. So with middle schoolers, you really need to connect with them.
Oh,
and you really, what's unique about the middle level and middle level learners? If you could share with our audience one thing you've learned being a middle school teacher, what would that be?
They are funny people. So I think you have to have a great sense of humor to work with middle school students. You have to realize, I particularly love 7th grade because I think you can still introduce things to them that they never heard before. So it's interesting. They want to seem like scholars, and when I tell them that they did some lesson that I maybe one time did with my 11th graders, then they suddenly feel like, wow, I can do this stuff in high school. But you also have to understand that they're still kind of children at the other end. So really understanding what do they do outside of school? Who are they outside of school? And allow that into the classroom, that this isn't just some bubble that they come into and it really doesn't connect to their lives outside of schooling. And I don't think any educational setting is successful if you're not welcoming those people, those personalities from outside of the classroom into that classroom setting, still holding very high expectations of them. I think that is a given. And truly how empowering it is I had a previous 7th grader ask me if I had an Instagram account, and I didn't at the time. And I said, well, tell me, why would I need an Instagram account? And he said, well, I think it would be really cool if you posted pictures and maybe we could write extra credit, like little creative writing assignments about what you post. And I thought, here's a 12-year-old, and at the time he was a struggling reader and writer, saying, Ms. Grandits, this is something that can help me become a better reader and writer. So I set one up, and I made it it's all school-based. I don't post anything personal on it. Right. But if I find something related to, I love William Shakespeare, so William Shakespeare, I'll post something on it. And to see students that I had at Barker 9 years ago to students that I had this past year talking about this same idea, I always say it's a nerdy English teacher moment, but it really makes me so happy, because that's really, I think, for me, what ELA should be, is making kids curious and making them want to read and want to write and want to experience the world. That's what it's all about.
And when students know you care, I always say that they care to learn. So first they have to know that you care about them and their interests and connecting with them outside of school, which you clearly do, and then they always care to learn. So
they do.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Denise.
Thank you for
I really
having me.
appreciated having you on this edition of Inside the Classroom.
Thank you so much.
We get you started early. We stay with you in middle school. We see you through graduation, college, and beyond, realizing potential every step of the way. We're New York State United Teachers, 600,000 professionals dedicated to excellence in public education. But that's not all. We also provide healthcare and human services to New Yorkers of all ages. We're NYSET, caring for patients, working for students, working with our communities.
Inside the Classroom is brought to you by NYSET, a union of more than 600,000 professionals dedicated to education, human services, and healthcare. NYSET is proud to partner with parents in advocating for what students need. We stand for excellence in public education from preschool through post-grad. Find us online at nyset.org.